Thank you for staying with us. We are back again talking to our special guest, best-selling author Sheila Lipsey. Sheila, when we went to break, we mentioned that we were going to talk about your transition from a self-published author to your deal with Urban Books. So tell us about how first of all, how you went through the process of self-publishing, and then how Urban Books found out about you.
Okay. Well, like I said, Always Now Forever was my first novel, my first book, period. But in after writing it, Always Now Forever, of course, I went the route of trying to submit it to different publishing companies. And like many of us, I began to have a rejection letter after rejection letter. Even wonderful things were said about it, Always Now Forever, from being poignant to gut wrenching to extraordinary. But it was always that word but there. So after, first of all, the initial reaction from me when I received the rejection letters was I became a little disheartened about it. But by the same token, after I continued to get several more, then I realized that I was not going to let anyone deter my dream or stop my dream, because I knew that my book was something that someone, even if it was only one person, could benefit from. And also, I believed in myself, and it was a desire and a passion within me. So before we can even go to anything about publishing, I do want to emphasize that if whatever your talent and your gift is, make sure that it should be a passion. You should have the heart for it, and you should be able to have the staying power to accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish in regard to that dream. So I decided, since I could not at the time get a large or major publishing company to accept Always Now Forever, that I would do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And back in 2000, it was still a little tarnish on the idea of someone being self-published. You know, people were whispering, he's self-published. So, but I still didn't let that stop me. And I began to learn everything myself that I could, because at that time I didn't know anyone in the literary world, and I just began to research, and thus was born Always Now Forever, and it did remarkably well.
Mm-hmm.
So after learning that, I went to the next step, and I continued to write and came up with some other story ideas. But in the meantime, I started to share with other people what I had learned, because I didn't want people to have to really experience that, I guess, that aloneness or that isolation from not knowing anything about self-publishing. Now, from Always Now and Forever to a Christian's perspective, it was basically the same thing, except with a Christian's perspective. It was a little easier to get it published because it was a small nonfiction book, and I was able to gear it more toward zero in on a particular audience and publisher who would publish nonfiction Christian books. So it was much, much easier to do that. But as far as going from the self-publishing phase to a major publishing company, I believe it was just my time, because I believe that God orchestrates everything in His time. And so it came remarkably surprising to me at a time when I had become comfortable with self-publishing, because by this time in 2005, when I signed with Kingston Urban Books, then it wasn't so taboo to hear the word self-published. As a matter of fact, self-published authors were coming on the scene everywhere, and they were getting awards and recognition just like traditionally published authors were.
Right.
So I began to become consumed with that. But by the same token, God put me in a position at just the right time when Kingston Urban Books was starting a Christian line of books. And a door opened for me, and I submitted my manuscript right away when I heard about it. And lo and behold, about 3 months after that, this was in 2005, 3 months after submitting my manuscript, I received a call. It was December 2005 from someone who I will always remember and always cherish, because I heard their voice on the phone, from who who I call now my boss, Carl Weber, offering me a book deal.
Wow.
And I haven't looked back since. And if, some people still continue to self-publish. But the thing about self-publishing in regard to and the difference in major publishing is very small. Because the major publishers, yes, they have nationwide distribution. They can get your books and everything right away in stores and everywhere. But we still, as authors, you still have to get out there and promote and market your books. It just doesn't happen. So that's something that I learned, and I'm continuing to learn as well. But it's just not like it's just once you're picked up by a traditional publisher that everything is just boom, 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 because it's not.
Right. And, Shelia, I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of times, I know you and I have talked, and I've talked to others in the different groups, about the similarities between the recording industry and the literary industry. In that a lot of people feel like once you get to that major deal, your work is done. But in many respects, wouldn't you agree that really it's just beginning?
Oh, yes, just beginning. And I think even more so because with self-published, you can get out there and sell your books. You can sell them out the trunk of your car. You have many avenues, and you can get them in the stores, and it's hard work. But even with the major publishers, sometimes I think it's even harder, because it entails more, and everything is more, because you want to make sure that those books, wherever the publisher has presented them and wherever they are, that they are moving. Because, it's, and you want your name recognition to get out there. And not only that, you're promoting your publishing company. So it's many phases that you're operating in, and so it takes a lot of time. And that's why I said, Cyrus, about you must love what you're doing and be passionate about it, because if not, you'll soon burn out and it'll just fall to the wayside.
Exactly. Again, our special guest for this show is best-selling author Shelia Lipsey. She's the author of 2 novels through Urban Books, Into Each Life and also Sensatiable. She also has another book that's coming out later on this year. Shelia, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, I want you to give them a little teaser about the new book, My Son's Wife, and also we're going to tell them how they can find out more information about you. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
All right.